Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Sportscast Podcast. This week we'll be talking US Open, all the action from the T20 cricket, as well as the Spanish Formula One Grand Prix, bringing you a full breakdown of all the action from the European Championship football, and Liam's Guess the Score quiz. Join us now.
Gentlemen, hello.
How are you doing?
Very well, yourself?
Yeah, really, really good. Sun's out in the UK again.
Is it with you, James?
Oh, bloody lovely down here, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Been gorgeous, not a cloud in the sky. How are we all anyway, all right?
Yeah, very well, very well.
Good.
Action-packed. I think we try come to the Euros sort of last because we could spend all night there. Just a round up from last week. Rory McIlroy choked at the US Open, two bogeys in the last 4 holes and lost by a shot. But I've said it before, his putting's always let him down. I've been a bit hard on him because if you look at the pot that he missed, it was about 3 foot, James, and he was aiming at a full cup left, and it missed by like a full cup right within 3 feet. So it almost was
Not good.
No, not at all.
Was that you've seen the video of him watching the winning putt go in and he just storms off in a sulk?
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah.
So which I can understand, he's his first major in 10 years, and it's unfortunate. Ever so brief, but Vingegaard is back for the Tour de France. He's been picked. He's 2-time champion. He's not raced. He broke his collarbone and collapsed his lung in the Tour de Basque Country. So, with Pogacar winning the Giro d'Italia, you've got the two. It's Ronaldo and Messi back for the Tour de France. So, that'll be kicking off soon, end of July. So, cannot wait. Jordan, there was some motor cars that went round in a circle for 66 laps today.
There was. You know what? Spain typically for me is a pretty boring race. It's got a lot of flat out corners. It's got a lot of high speed corners, especially since they got rid of the chicane.
They had massive sausage curbs as well, but they've dropped them out.
They've dropped them down. So it's not typically something where you see a lot of action, a lot of overtaking, other than in the DRS straights. However, for me, actually, it was a pretty strategic race and it was a pretty enjoyable race. Lando got pole on Saturday, which was absolutely fantastic to see, which was 2 1,000s, in front of Max.
Do you know how hard it was last night when you said you'd not seen qualifying to say anything?
I know. I'd have probably exploded there and then, to be honest with you. But no, Lando with a cracking lap, showing that he has got pace, not just over in race pace, but also 1 lap pace as well. Because that's, I think, where Charles Leclerc lets himself down sometimes. He's got blistering 1 lap pace in quali, but then lets himself down in terms of race pace and tyre management. Yeah. Unbelievable overtake from Russell to take them both on lap 1 into first, and then it was kind of a battle of strategies. The temperature was ridiculous, 42 degrees track temperature in Spain, which I know we've said on the south coast of southeast coast of the UK, and up in Doncaster it's probably pushing
24.
20. Yeah,
22, I think. 22.
Oh, blessed. Well, double that. Yeah. That's what it was in Barcelona.
A bit warm.
Yeah.
So for me, I caught bits of the race. I didn't watch all of it in one stint. There wasn't a single yellow flag. There was no safety car, and all 20 cars finished. It doesn't make for entertaining racing. But like you said, tactical. Was it all down to pit stops? I don't know.
Yeah, I think the commentators are paid very well, and obviously they do make something of a race, even the boring races, which this I would probably class as a boring race. They make it exciting, but it was exciting. I mean, basically what happened is Lando pulled his tyres out an extra 6 laps, which gave him a massive tyre advantage against Max Verstappen. So when he pitted, he came out 6th behind a load of cars. And then slowly and surely made his way back up the field. and he came out something like 20 odd seconds behind, and then after the final round of pit stops, he was 8 seconds behind, and then he was pushing Max, and he ended up finishing 2 seconds behind, which I would argue for the 4th race in a row, Max Verstappen has not had it his own way, and for the 2nd race in a row, Canada and this, he has had to earn that race.
Yeah, because he didn't qualify for pole last week either.
No, he didn't qualify pole. We've actually had 4 different pole sitters in 4 races, which is good to see.
Do you think other drivers are getting wise to Verstappen now and seeing how he races? And is he? I don't know. I don't watch it, but is he quite predictable, Verstappen, in how he races?
It's not like we've not actually seen much wheel-to-wheel racing with Verstappen, and Verstappen is very aggressive as a racer anyway. So I think when there is the opportunity to race Verstappen, which doesn't happen very often, then drivers have got to be very aware that he will late brake and he will push you away from the apex, and that's the way that he races. But I think that the teams who started as close to Red Bull as possible are now within, I would say, 0.2. Liam?
Yeah, I think the gap has closed. I still can't work out which way it's gone. If it's gone, Red Bull have dropped back, or if McLaren and co have moved forward. But I definitely think, it's a lot closer.
Yeah, super interesting point. Well, super interesting question, sort of. So, like, just very quickly, is Hamilton kind of finished 3rd on the podium, which is the first time since. Remind me, I can't remember. It was like 12 races ago or something like that. He hasn't finished on the podium this season. It was Mexico City, last year, that he finished on the podium. Great result for him. But do you think Adrian Newey and do you think Lewis Hamilton have kind of lost interest in their respective teams, seeing as though they are departing at the end of the season?
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk in the paper that Mercedes are manipulating the car to revolve around Russell this year, knowing that Lewis is going, which it's probably, it's a results-based business, so it's probably the right thing to do.
I wouldn't say manipulating the car is the wrong word. Every team has got a preferred driver. They've got their first driver. It's Leclerc, it's Max, it's
was Lewis
historically being Lewis, and they set the cars up majority towards them, and then what they do is they tweak it for the secondary driver, and they get the preferred stops and they get the preferred strategy, and that's now flipped to George, and I, in my opinion, rightly so. That's probably where they see, well, George has got more points, so why not?
Yeah, I think years gone by, I think if Max and Sergio would have been closer on points, I don't think Max would have been left to it, so to speak.
Yeah.
I think they do wait to get, sort of 6-7 races in and then start, in teams that predominantly probably, Ferrari probably didn't have a preferred driver, but it has always been Leclerc that's ahead after 5 or 6 races. So you have to then focus around that to get a world champion out of it.
Yeah, definitely.
So, no, it's it's getting back to Formula One of old.
Yeah. James, T20 cricket.
Yeah, I've watched a little bit of it, but I will admit to you guys, I am struggling to get into this T20 World Cup. I think with it being in the States, and the States not really being a cricketing nation, I'm just struggling to get into it. But there's not been any major upsets so far. I mean, all the usual teams are winning, your South Africa, Australia, and things like this. But we actually had a game the other day. I think it was on Friday. It was Australia Bangladesh, and it got rained off. So Australia won. It's the DLS method. Do you know what the DLS method is?
I do not.
Duckworth-Lewis method.
Duckworth-Lewis-Stern method. Yeah. So it's based. They if it gets rained off, they use a mathematical formulation to calculate what their score would be based on what they've done and what they're predicted to get, and this, that, and the other. So,
what a cop out!
Yeah,
You still have to have
but you have to have a winner in tournament cricket like this. If it was a 5-day test and it got rained off after 5 days, you can go, it's a draw. But with this being a World Cup, with being a competition, there has to be a winner. So this is where the DLS comes in.
Are there many sports that cower away from the rain?
No.
Are there many sports that you have tea and biscuits at half time?
Cucumber sandwiches, yeah.
I'm sorry. How can you not enjoy this? You don't play in the rain. You have tea and biscuits and sandwiches for lunch.
Well, this is absolutely true, but that's bizarre. That's absolutely bizarre.
And you're right. It does suck the fun out of it a little bit. Just wait till it finish raining and go on later on. But there has to be, like I said, there has to be that winner in that. New Zealand, again, after their massive, monstrous win over Uganda last week, and another one against Papua New Guinea, who was 78 all out.
Oh wow!
So and Australia got them 79, I think, only in about 12 overs.
Wow.
They beat him in, so that was another very short game. But England winning today against the United States quite emphatically. They won by 10 wickets, and they won it in less than 10 overs. United States were 115 all out. England 117 off only 9.4 overs. So that's another emphatic win for them, and they'll go on to the semi. I think it's the semi-finals.
I can imagine
coming out of the Super 8s. Yeah,
I can imagine the single US fan was disappointed.
Yeah, it is that single fan, I think, that is making it. I don't think many people in the UK at the minute are really getting into a T20 World Cup. I mean, if it was in South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, cricketing nations, I think, there'd be more fans, it'd be more lively, it would be a good spectacle to watch. But it's hard to watch a sport in a country that's not known for that. It'd be like watching, ice hockey in Cambodia. You know what I mean? It's not really 100%.
I think that's a good little segment to go into the Euro, because I have seen a clip of the Dutch fans down one of the squares of these, lovely picturesque German places, and it's just a sea of orange, and they're just flares, they're just jumping around, having a party. And when it was in Qatar, you saw nothing. Nothing. And it's nice to see that the fans are, yes, okay, there's been some trouble. You'd get that anywhere, but it's nice to see the fans are involved and they're making a spectacle of it on and off the pitch.
It would be a crack. Like, can you imagine booking a month off and going to see the Euros for an entire month and just kind of go into games and bars? And one of the commentators said Poland played one of the Eastern European teams last week.
No, it was Friday. They played Austria.
They were drinking the bars that were that's lined up on the left hand side and right hand side of the street. The one of the sets of fans was in one side and the other sets of the fans was in the other. But it wasn't kind of a hostile environment. It was, they're all here to have a nice time and to support their team. And speaking from an England fan perspective, we haven't had a lot to cheer about, but even with the poor performances or a loss or a game, it's the atmosphere, and that's what kind of the Euros is about for me.
Absolutely. I mean, talking about the fans, one side of the street or the other, have you seen that little video doing the rounds of that gentleman that's fallen asleep outside the bar?
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
people are stacking beer mats on his head. I mean, that is top tier banter. That is.
I saw the one where they balanced a pint on his head, and they were filling it up as they went along.
Guy sat in a shop with doorway. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, so it's been a good Euro so far. Nothing major's happened from a score perspective.
No. What would you say? I don't think Belgium have had a great start, although they did win quite convincingly yesterday. I wouldn't say it has been a great start for them, but other than that, all the big teams seem to kind of be progressing as you would expect, with the exception, I would say, of France. Now,
I was going to say this. We're talking about no major upsets in the way of scoring, but for me, that France game against the Netherlands, that is an upset, a 0-0 draw.
Yeah, 0-0 draw. And they weren't emphatic. They weren't emphatic in the first game either.
No.
Well, they won through an own goal against Austria, 1-0, and they drew 0-0 with France, with Netherlands, and technically they should have lost 1-0 because that was never the goal that was chalked off of VAR should never have been. So
100%. Yep. Don't want to touch too much on England's performances because obviously you guys don't kind of follow England as I do, but just for the benefit of the listeners, my opinion is absolutely dreadful. Same as everybody else, same as the pundits, same as the media, same as everybody. We have a kind of negative mental attitude, and it's been, whether you caught a snippet or whether you watched the entire game, it was incredibly boring, gents.
Well, I think you touched on it the other week when you said about Southgate and his interview that he done, and he kind of sounded very lackluster, and it's kind of trickled down into that
100%.
team. I have seen a bit of it, and they are not the team that we thought they were going to be. Incredibly boring, passing it back. Let's do this, let's do that. But I can't understand as the games have gone on and why he's taken Luke Shaw when he's injured. Because when you need that player on the left that Luke Shaw can be, and he's in, why did you not take your Grealish or your Madison?
But then not Maguire. Yeah.
So, Jared Braithwaite, even from Everton, the most influential.
Yeah, Braithwaite, exactly.
Yeah, who's left-footed,
Yeah. My question to you this week, guys, is who are you most impressed by so far in the Euros? I have my very, very clear answer.
Well, I want to say Georgia.
Okay.
Because,
they're not going
to win the tournament. They're not. I mean, they got smashed by Turkey. But they just look like they're playing like they're just incredibly happy to be there, and they've just put everything out on the line. They're going for it for 90 minutes every game. I mean, they got a great draw against the Czech Republic yesterday. And Georgia, I mean, yeah, they're not going to go very far, but they're very interesting to watch. There's a lot of passion there. But if I wouldn't have gone for Georgia, my standout favourites to watch at the minute is Albania.
Fair play. Liam?
Fair enough. It's a tricky one because you say the surprise, you could say maybe Spain because they haven't won much for sort of 10 years. They've sort of been, they've lost a few big players when Ramos and Busquets and co retired. And they've played fantastic. But I think the surprise would be Croatia for the other reason that you'd expect them to do something. And they've been awful. They've been absolutely awful. So I think for me, that's why I'd probably go Croatia. Getting beat 3-0 by Spain. And then, like James's surprise was Albania. They drew 2-2 with them. They're sat with 1 point. And, I think they play Italy tomorrow night. And Italy have got to win. And I think they will.
100%. So mine is for the opposite reason of yours, in that the team that I've been most impressed by, the team that I've been most energized by and I've loved watching, I watched both games, is Spain.
Yeah.
And I was texting you guys when they were playing the other night, and for me, the guy on the right-hand side, the 16-year-old, remind me of his name?
Yamal.
Unreal. The guy on the left-hand side, Williams.
Nico Williams, yeah.
Plays for Atletico, is it?
Yep.
He's worth every penny of £150 million.
Yeah, and I think, he's only young still. I think Atletico Madrid will do very well to keep hold of him. The benefit they have is he isn't going to go to Real Madrid, is he? So,
that's
probably the only thing that'll keep him there for another season. But, let's...
Yeah, Spain have been outstanding.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
But we had some questions. Well, we had some games to predict last week, and I'll be very quick to get through what happened. But Jordan went very wrong with his Romania-Ukraine, which saw Romania win 3-0, which is probably a little bit of a turnout for the books. And then Belgium-Slovakia, which he went 4-1 to Belgium, finished 1-0 Slovakia. So Jordan picked up a very brisk 0-point. James went Scotland-Switzerland 2-0 Switzerland, which was a 1-1 game. And Turkey, Georgia, he said 3-1 to Turkey, and hate to say it, but he got all 3 points.
I also hate to hear it.
Yes.
Nah, I want to hear it again.
Yeah. Well, I went Poland, Austria 1-1, and it was 3-1 Austria. And Spain, Italy.
Poor result for Poland, that.
Well, it is, but don't forget, they were the last team to qualify through the playoffs, drawing 0-0 with Wales and winning in extra time.
Yeah.
So, and then Spain, Italy, I said 2-1 Spain, but it was 1-0 Spain. So I got 1 point for the right result. So
I wouldn't argue like that. That was a tight game, and it should have been more.
Yes. But this week, I would like your thoughts on Jordan, Czech Republic versus Turkey.
That's really difficult because been decent, but Turkey have also been quite good as well, but then they've also been thrashed. I'm going to go 2-2.
Oh,
that's
high scoring.
Yeah.
And then Albania, Spain.
Spain 4-0.
Jesus.
Cool.
Yeah, doesn't hold back. James, see if you can follow on. Denmark versus Serbia.
Denmark versus Serbia. I am going to go Denmark 2-1.
Okay. And then the big one, Croatia versus Italy.
I am going to go for Italy win there, and I'm going to go 3-1.
Italy
have been tricky in the final, really poor in the final third, but hopefully 3-1 is.
They haven't scored many, have they? I've gone England, Slovenia.
7-0 Slovenia.
Well, I'll be honest. I actually think 2-0 England, because for what it is, there will be a reaction, and I think it'll be a positive one, and I think they'll get a goal each side of half time.
Fair play.
Ukraine, Belgium is my next one, and I also think 2-0, but to Belgium. I don't know if I've done Ukraine out of something there. I know James fancied them early doors and Jordan backed them, but I do think we're going to be looking at a fairly straightforward game for Belgium. You know, it's easy to pick the game. You've got to get the scores as well. So we'll see what happens next week on that.
Absolutely.
Anything else happen in your world, James?
So I have been dipping in and out of something on YouTube this week, and I fell down a rabbit hole with it. And it is the wonderful world of the WFJF.
These are getting ridiculous. WF.
World Fishing something.
No. It's the World Finger Jousting Federation.
Oh my God, I wonder what you was going to say.
I did have a voice in the corner of my room shout finger. And I'm, please tell me that the mode of transport they use for the joust is a finger skateboard.
I wish it was, but unfortunately it's not as exciting as that.
Oh, you've lost me. You've lost me.
So 2 players stand in front of one another, and you adopt a grip. You hold each other's hand in like an arm wrestling position. And when you are in that, you both stick out your finger, and it consists of 3 2-minute rounds. And the idea is to poke each other with your finger.
I'll pass.
Yeah.
And what's the purpose of the win? Just a bit like fencing, get a touch and you get a point.
Yeah, so you get different points for different parts of the body that you touch. So if it's a large area, like your chest and things like that, you get 2 points. If it's a leg, an arm, anything like that, you only get a point, and that's 3 points for a head shot. And it is just wrestling, but just trying to poke each other with your finger.
Very odd.
It is very odd, but when you when you watch it, it starts to get a little bit spicy and bits and bobs. They have it's all fully licensed. You've got all your rules, regulations, match ending in injury. What happens for that, and
I'd love to see some of these injuries.
A sign of respect for your opponent is to ensure that you've cut your fingernails to a nice length that it's not going to end up causing serious damage from a headshot. But yeah,
100% Eddie Hearn would jump on this if he thought he could earn some cash.
I tell you, I think so. But yeah, the finger jousting championships, that's the one.
We have the Hungarian Grand Prix. Sorry, I'm a month ahead of myself. We have the Sevens Olympic recoup for the rugby union. I know England Great Britain have failed to qualify today for the Olympics, so that was in Monaco, and then we've got the Austrian Grand Prix next week with the Tour de France starting as well, and then the following week, Jordan, goes into Wimbledon for you. In fact, we've got 3 races back to back, Jordan.
We have. It doesn't happen very often, and the drivers hate it, but I love it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, so hopefully next week we'll have a fantastic Austrian Grand Prix. Tour de France gets itself off, and we'll catch up then.
Sounds good.
Take care.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Sportscast podcast. As normal, you'll get us on our social media, Instagram and X, formerly Twitter, at SportscastPod UK. Join us again next week.